This is the second cheapest electric car after the Dacia Spring. It's from BYD, and in other markets it's called the BYD Seagull, but because apparently us Brits don't like seagulls, they've renamed it the Dolphin Surf. Now in this video I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it. I'm going to talk you around the exterior design, it's crowning, show you the inside. You can hear the seagulls. You're going to see how practical it is. And I'm going to tell you what's good about it, what's not so good about it, and take it for a drive. You can just go round and round and round and round and round. I'm Matt Watson, and you're watching CarWow. First though, I'm going to tell you why you should care about this BYD. For starters, it's one of the best-selling cars in China. Over 60,000 were registered in May alone. And it's insanely cheap. In the Chinese market, the actual car only costs the equivalent of £6,000. But in the UK, it's more expensive because there's upgraded safety kit, plus obviously import duty that you have to add on. Anyway, it's still one of the cheapest new cars you can buy. But is this car cheap for a reason? Or is it an underrated bargain that's flying under everyone's radar? We'll find out in this video. But straight away, I have spotted a problem. The BYD Dolphin Surf is a bit of an odd looking thing. It's not ugly, but it's not pretty either. There's something about it sort of reminds me of the old Chevy Bolt or Chevy Spark, and they weren't great looking things. Bit top heavy, bit squarey. Anyhow, this is the range topping version, but all versions basically have the same kit on them, apart from this range topper has LED lights. Other ones have normal halogen lights, which feel a little bit cheap in this day and age. Now this is the only standard colour, right? If you want a different colour, you have to pay for it, and there's only three of the colours: white, blue and black. Moving on the side, you've got some cladding there to just break up the yellowness of it all. Entry-level model has 15-inch steel wheels. That's how it's so cheap. Every other version has 16-inch alloys. So you can see these door handles there, they're flush with the body to improve aerodynamics. You've got quite a weird crease going on down there just to give it some shape. And this is the part that for me looks like the Chevy Spark or Bolt or whatever you want to call it. Bit of extra black going on there to make it look sporty. Quite a narrow rising window line at the back. How is that going to affect rear visibility at the side? We're going to find out. Now at the rear we've got a full-length light bar there, which sort of looks cool, but once again there's something slightly odd about it to my eyes. And then you got like this berthing its bumper, isn't it? It's like pushing it out. It's crowning. Doesn't look anywhere near as cool as a Hyundai Insta, does it? If you want to see my full in-depth video review of that car, just click on the pop-out banner or scan the QR code on screen now. You know, I said this car is called the Seagull in other markets. Well, here's proof. Listen to the jingle when I turn the car on. Just listen. Can you hear the seagulls and the water? I'll do it again. The seagulls screech, but now you actually get them chirping as well when you turn it on. Anyway, the inside of this car, you can tell it's built down to a very low price, so the materials are pretty scratchy. There are some softy bits here, like that, which is good where you put your arms, yeah. And on the dash, though, have a look here. It looks like this has come away from the surface underneath, like the glue has failed. The design is all right, I guess. I'm not convinced about this. Look, we have these little vents there which blow air to demist the windows, but I think kids will poke stuff down there and you end up with a rattle in the dash. Another thing, that's what gives me that trypophobia, you know, that kind of fear of things that look like they've got holes in them. Can't look at it, can't look at it. Can't fault the seats though, I do really like them, and they're the same regardless of which trim you go for. The steering wheel feels all right in this top spec version, and you can control the screen here and the digital driver's display using these buttons here. I have to say, the Speedo is a little bit small. That's it. That's all you get for the Speedo. Now, the infotainment system itself, it's all right. It's a cheap car. One thing that's annoying about it is the fact that you have these shortcut buttons here, but you can only choose from those ones. Whereas actually, do you know what? I'd like some of the other features on the main screen, but no, I'm not allowed it. It's sort of intuitive until you get into the real detail, like the settings. To really bury down into certain menus to figure out what's going on, and look at the size of the font. I'm quite old, so my eyesight isn't great. That is a little bit too small. And when you're trying to drive and press things, it's impossible, especially when you're being monitored by this little device here, which is making sure you've got your eyes on the road, and you know, one glance like that and it's the whole car screaming at you going, no, you're not paying attention. Anyway, look, you can do this with the screen though. Press this button here. That is a massive horsefly. It wants to bite me, but it won't get to. Look at that. Look at that. I've saved horses from pain. Anyway, the screen. Do you want it in portrait or do you want it landscape? Options, options, options. Well, that's quite clever. BYD has missed a trick with these buttons here. Rather than just having buttons that you press, you actually rock them. And there's certain things you can control here, like you can turn the air conditioning on and off. But that's all you do. You rock it on and you rock it back for off. And then you have to alter the fan speed by pressing this tiny button yet again on the screen, like that. Why didn't you, considering you can rock the switch, just have rock it on to setting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then back all the way to off? Just madness. They should have done that for all the buttons. Weird. And then there's a drive selector, which is another rocker switch there, which is strange. And then they have the park just on the side, like that. I suppose it's quite neat and tidy, just a bit of a missed opportunity. Another missed opportunity is this. A lot of cars, I like to use just the voice commands when the menu for the climate is just so hard to work when you're driving. But with this one, set temperature to 20 degrees.
I can set the temperature up to level 17. I'll adjust it to that instead.
Level 17? I just want 20 degrees? What does that even mean?
The temperature is already set to the maximum.
Why don't you have like climate control? I don't understand. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that. Top spec versions also get wireless charging and wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, though I do find it a little bit laggy. That's so bad. Well, I've had enough of that. Let's just go back to the normal system. Right, storage. So in here you have a glove box that's average in size. Got some cup holders there, more on those later. We've got a place for your mobile phone. Down here you have USB-C, you've got normal USB and good old 12 volt, so every kind of connection you'd want. And then this big storage area down here as well. The door bins, well, they are an okay size. You can fit big bottles in them. And that is pretty much all you need to know. Oh, let's just check this. Vanity mirror is good and I'm looking very sweaty. And look, this is so new. It's even got that little cover over the light. Shall I do it? Shall I peel it off? Satisfying. I'm quite impressed with the back seats on this BYD. So headroom, that's good enough. Knee room's pretty decent. The seats aren't too close to the floor like they are in many electric cars, so you do have some under thigh support and you can stretch out a little bit underneath the seat in front. That is good, and you've got a completely flat floor, so there's plenty of space for everyone's feet. I say everyone, only 2 people can sit back here. It's a strict 2-seater in the rear. When it comes to fitting a baby seat, the back doors open nice and wide. The ISOFIX anchor points are easy to get to and locate, and even if you're using one of those big bulky rear facing seats, you don't have to move the front passenger seat forward at all because there's plenty of space. So it's all good pretty much, but we've got some storage there, we've got some more storage here. The door bins here in the back are big as well. You don't feel cheaped out in the back compared to the front. Like some cars, they get rid of all like the soft touch materials for the rearmost passengers, but not here. It's exactly the same as for the people in the front. There is something that's not so good though. Minor complaint, rear windows don't go all the way down, but actually where you're going to put your arm, that doesn't actually matter. One thing that is a bit odd is this, look, the way the front seat belts are mounted. I guess it works and does the job, and it's all about keeping the costs down, but that just looks a little bit cheap. The boot capacity of the Dolphin Surf is 308 litres, which is slightly less than a Renault 5. And if you want to watch my full in-depth video review of that car, click on the pop-out banner up there or scan the QR code on screen now. Now in the Renault 5, I managed to fit 4 airplane-sized carry-on suitcases. Let's see how many we can fit in this. I should point out that this does not have a low cover. Sort of don't need one because of the angle of these seats. It keeps things hidden behind them. So let's see, what can we do? Well, they fit like that. This last one is going to be problematic. Maybe like that? That ain't going to work, no. It's got to keep it below the seats. That ain't shutting. That's not shutting. No, it's a score of 3. Slightly awkward shaped boot this, isn't it? Quite a big load lip as well. Now let's see if it'll shut with 3. Come on, you got to do 3. Yes, just. You can of course fold the rear seats down up like that. But because it's a budget car, you don't have an adjustable boot floor. Oh, you also have seat belts that snag, you just saw that. There is definitely no sliding thing straight to the front because look at that big lip. It's more of a flip to the front. There are a few tie down points there though. Tie down point, tie down point, tie down point. There is some storage under here and that's where you keep your battery leads. So I suppose you could take this out and maybe you could fit some more stuff in there, but then where are you going to keep all this? Anyhow, that brings me on to 5 annoying things about the BYD Dolphin Surf. These rear doors are actually quite long, look at this. So it makes them harder to open in tight spaces, but when you actually open the door, you do realise a lot of it's just body panel. So this is the opening required for the actual door to get in, and it goes all the way back here. Kids are just going to be like squeezing out there and bashing into other cars aren't in the car park. And it's going to be all your fault as a parent for choosing this car over something else. With a lot of cars, if you want people to be able to do things like operate the windows, but not actually drive the car, you turn the ignition on by pressing the button. But on this car, it doesn't let you. It says put your foot on the brake to turn the ignition on, and so now I have. There we go, the ignition is on. I can operate the windows, but let's say you then want to leave the kids in the car while you go off and do something like in a shop or something, but they still need to be able to open the windows and stuff. Get out of the car and this is what happens. So if you wouldn't mind just jumping in, Jack, and showing us. You see, if you have one thing on, then everything's on, including the ability to drive away. Not ideal. Unlike with other many electric cars, there is no front boot. You can see the space where you could actually make one if they just move some of these things around, but obviously being a cheap car, they couldn't be arsed spending the cash to do that. The cup holders don't have any grippers in them and they are quite wide, obviously designed for massive vats of coffee. So when you have a normal sized bottle in them, if you brake suddenly, that's going to topple over, or if you accelerate suddenly, that's going to topple over and your drink's going to go everywhere. Despite being a brand new car, and electric for that matter, there doesn't seem to be any USB connections here in the back. However, it's not all bad news, because you can charge some pretty heavy duty items in the front. The car's USB ports output 60 watts of power, which means you can run your laptop off it. Listen. There we go, charging. Also, all models get vehicle to load, so you get an adapter, you can plug it into the charging port, and then you can plug into that any household appliance and it will run it, even something like a microwave or a fridge, which I had with us today because it is like 30 odd degrees and I'm sweating. Electric cars by law have to make a noise when they're reversing to warn pedestrians, and normally that noise is just a generic This one though sounds like wind chimes. It's quite nice, have a listen. All models, even the entry-level car, gets adaptive cruise control, which will keep you a safe distance from the car in front, like you can alter the distance, and it'll automatically steer to keep you in lane. They also all get a reversing camera as standard. So if you go for this range-stopping comfort model, you then get a surround view camera like this, and if I press 3D, there we go, look, that's a really, really, really good image. And if I open my door, it shows it on there, and open the rear right door, Lewis. That's the left, but it's not a problem. Lewis doesn't know his right from his left, but the car does, look. Cool. There's ISOFIX anchor points here on the front passenger seat, so it means there's room for 3 baby seats in the car. Done. Oh, you can't do it that way because of the airbag. Need to turn the airbag off. How do we turn the airbag off? Oh, we have to do it through the screen. I'll do that later. But anyway, oh, I didn't fit the ISOFIX. It would be very good in an accident, that. And I'm supposed to be a father. This budget car actually comes with a 6-year warranty. That's one of the best warranties out there. The Dolphin Surf is available with 2 battery sizes, a 30 kilowatt, which gives you a claimed range of 137 miles, which isn't that much, or a 43 kilowatt, which will give you a claimed range of about 200 miles, which also isn't that much. And then there's 3 different trim levels to choose from, and 2 power outputs, 88 horsepower or 156, which is what this range stopping car has. Now, if you get the most expensive model with the biggest battery, it can charge at up to 85 kilowatts on DC charging, which once again isn't that fast, is it? Right, let's time this car from 0 to 60 miles an hour. Gonna use my specialist timing gear. We're in sport mode, ESC off, let's go. Decent pickup, didn't spin its wheels at all, and 60 miles an hour is done. It's supposed to do it in 9.1 seconds. It did it in 7.76. It's quite punchy, really. That 0 to 60 time really surprised me. And this car's actually surprised me a bit. When I first drove it, I really didn't like it at all. Just thought an MG4, which is rear wheel drive, it handles better, it's more fun. A Renault 5, it's just more comfy and more luxurious, and the steering and the throttle pedal just feel more natural. And a Hyundai Insta has better brakes, and it's also got a cooler vibe to it. What's the point of this? But I have spent more time with it, and I started to think, rather than like a motoring journalist when I'm having to be hypercritical, I'm thinking more like just a normal person who probably doesn't back-to-back cars every day like I do. And I've just viewed this car in isolation, and I've changed my mind. I've started to warm to it a bit. You see, I've learned that you need to drive this car in sport mode, because in the other modes, just the steering and the throttle just feel horrid, to tell you the truth, just unresponsive. But in sport though, much better. Then there's the suspension. It's kind of like a bit bouncy and bobbly. It's always moving around beneath you, but it's not uncomfortable. Sort of reminds me, you know, of those nodding dog toys that people have in the back of their cars, where their necks are spring and they're just constantly like going like that. It's a bit what this car is like to drive. I don't hate it though, it's okay, I can put up with that. And anyway, what I found is that while it may seem a little bit shaky and unstable, it's not. Think of it a bit like a chameleon. You know how a chameleon like moves and it's like a bit shaky, but it's always certain forgotten what it's doing. I think that's what this car's like. You see, I've actually just driven this thing down some twisty roads quite quickly, and it handled surprisingly well. And cameraman Lewis, who sat there next to me, he was like, Matt, no one is going to drive this car like you just have, which is kind of proof that it's more than up to the task in the handling department. And anyway, most people who drive this car are just going to really appreciate how easy it is to drive in town. So you've got good visibility all round and an incredibly small turning circle. It's like a London taxi, you can just go round and round and round and round and round. I love it for that. What I don't love though is the fact that you don't have one pedal drive like you do in some other electric cars, so you always have to press the brakes to slow down, and you can't even alter the amount of regen you have like you can in pretty much every other electric car. I also don't love that. The safety system is so sensitive, it always thinks you're going to sleep when you're quite clearly wide awake. Believe me, I've had 3 coffees a day. I ain't about to drop off. Anyway, the brakes. I really don't like the brakes. They just feel awful, unnatural, and if you so much as press them slightly firmly, the hazard lights come on. But don't panic, because the performance of this car is easily adequate and up to the job. You know, you can get up to motorway speeds easily enough and even overtake people. And actually, when you're travelling at higher speeds, it's quite comfy. It's reasonably quiet actually. I'm surprised how quiet it is. All that I can really notice is a bit of road noise and some wind flutter from around those big door mirrors. In terms of efficiency, I'm averaging 4 miles per kilowatt hour when I multiply that out by the battery capacity. We're looking at a real world range of 173 miles, which isn't loads, but it's still 89% of what the manufacturer claims. And I guess that's okay. And that pretty much sums up what this car is like to drive. It's okay. It's just that an MG4, Renault 5 and a Hyundai Insta are better. However, that efficiency figure I mentioned is really important, because 4 miles per kilowatt hour is better than I managed in the MG4, the Hyundai Insta and the Citroen EC3. That's one good thing about small electric cars like this BYD with small batteries. They have less weight to carry around, so they tend to be more efficient. This means they cost less to run and it helps keep the purchase price down. But if you're looking for the most efficient small EV, you might be better off with a Renault 5. That averaged 4.2 miles per kilowatt hour when I tested it earlier this year. And there's something else about this BYD which isn't quite up to the Renault standard. Brake test from 60 miles an hour. Let's do it. If we could get to about 35 meters, that'll be good. 3, 2, 1. Oh, that is sketch under braking. Didn't like that at all. And 41 meters. It was like all over the place. That is not great. So then what's my final verdict on the new BYD Dolphin Surf? Should you avoid it, consider it, shortlist it, or just go right ahead and buy it? Well, I reckon you should consider it. It's an all right car, but for not much more, you could have quite a few cars that are better.